It was meant to be one of those small moments that matter most. A school hall, paper costumes, a nervous little voice waiting in the crowd. Instead, it has exploded into yet another very public celebrity fallout, and this one has hit a nerve. Helen Flanagan is once again locked in a bitter feud with her ex-partner Scott Sinclair. And this time, it centers around something far more personal than headlines, red carpets, or career moves. A nativity play. Their son's nativity play. And the fallout has been brutal. Helen didn't hold back. She didn't soften her words. She didn't try to keep it private. Instead, she took to social media and made her feelings crystal clear, accusing Scott of letting their child down by not showing up on a day that clearly meant everything to her. And while some people have rushed to criticize Helen for airing family issues in public, others are asking a much harder question. Why wasn't he there? Because this isn't just about one missed school play. It's about years of tension, years of distance, and a co-parenting situation that has clearly been hanging by a thread for a very long time. Helen and Scott were together for more than a decade. They shared a life. They built a family. They welcomed 3 children together, Matilda, Delilah, and little Charlie. For years, they were seen as one of those quietly solid celebrity couples. Not flashy, not dramatic, just steady. Until suddenly, they weren't. When they split in 2022, both were quick to say they would put the children first. They promised respect. They promised cooperation. They promised maturity. But what followed instead has been a long, messy reality that many separated parents will recognize all too well. Distance, miscommunication, resentment, and a growing sense that one person is always carrying more of the load. Fast forward to now, and Helen is working full-time in Panto, starring as the Wicked Queen in Snow White in Liverpool. Long days, even longer nights. An intense schedule that leaves very little room to breathe, let alone juggle everything else. According to sources close to Helen, there was an understanding, or at least an expectation, that Scott would step in and attend their son Charlie's nativity play. A moment she couldn't make, but one she clearly thought he would, except he didn't. Instead, Scott was sharing images from a glamorous trip to Abu Dhabi. Sunshine, Grand Prix weekends, luxury backdrops. And that contrast is what seems to have tipped Helen over the edge. Because while one parent was rushing between rehearsals and performances, the other appeared to be enjoying life very far away from school halls and paper halos. Helen didn't just feel disappointed, she felt let down. And more importantly, she felt that her child had been let down. She later shared a photo with Charlie after the play, calling him her heartbeat. And that single word tells you everything you need to know about where her emotions were sitting. This wasn't about public image. This was about hurt. And it's not the first time cracks in their co-parenting arrangement have surfaced. Helen has previously admitted that communication between them has been extremely difficult. At one point, she revealed that Scott had blocked her number entirely. Blocked. Think about that for a moment. 2 people raising 3 children together, living hundreds of miles apart, and one of them unable to even pick up the phone. Helen has spoken openly about how hard that made day-to-day parenting, how isolating it felt, how unsupported she often was. She has also been brutally honest about the reality of co-parenting across distance. Scott living in Somerset, Helen based in Lancashire. School runs, events, routine. None of it is easy when you're effectively doing it solo most of the time. And in recent interviews, Helen has even questioned whether the word co-parenting truly applies at all. That alone speaks volumes. Meanwhile, Scott has stayed largely silent. No public explanation, no statement, no acknowledgement of the situation. And that silence has only fueled the backlash. Because when one parent speaks emotionally about missing moments and broken expectations, and the other posts holiday snaps, public sympathy tends to land in a very predictable place. But here's where this story becomes more complicated. Some critics argue that Helen shouldn't have taken the issue online, that private matters should stay private, that children don't benefit from public rows, And on the surface, that argument makes sense. But others counter that Helen has been absorbing disappointment quietly for years. And this was simply the moment it spilled over. Because when you feel unheard privately, sometimes the only way left is to speak publicly. And this row didn't come out of nowhere. Just weeks ago, Helen hinted that co-parenting was becoming increasingly strained again. She admitted that the distance between them made everything harder. That juggling work, children, and logistics was exhausting. And crucially, she admitted that she often doesn't feel like there's equal involvement. This nativity play wasn't an isolated incident. It was the final straw. What makes this situation particularly uncomfortable is the age of the children involved. Charlie is just 4 years old. These are formative years, moments that don't come back, moments children remember. Parents missing school events leaves marks that last far longer than people realize. And while Scott may have reasons he hasn't shared, the absence itself is what's being felt, both by Helen and by the public watching this unfold. As of now, the two no longer appear to follow each other on social media, another small but telling sign of just how fractured things have become. There's no friendly front, no united message, no attempt to smooth things over for the cameras, just raw tension playing out in real time. And while Helen has been criticized before for being emotional, outspoken, even impulsive, many people are now saying something different. That she's simply exhausted from carrying the emotional weight, exhausted from explaining absences to children, exhausted from trying to make things work when cooperation feels one-sided. This feud isn't glamorous. It isn't entertaining in the usual celebrity sense. It's uncomfortable. Because it's real. It reflects what happens when relationships end, but responsibilities don't. When distance replaces teamwork. When promises made during breakups quietly dissolve over time. And right now, Helen looks like a mother who reached her limit. Whether Scott responds or stays silent will say a lot about where this goes next. Because ignoring it won't make it disappear. And time alone doesn't heal resentment when accountability is missing. As Christmas approaches, moments like nativity plays carry even more emotional weight. They're symbols of family, presence, showing up. And for Helen, this wasn't just about one evening. It was about feeling like she's doing this alone. Again. And until something genuinely changes, this feud isn't going anywhere. Because unresolved co-parenting tension doesn't fade quietly. It builds, it hardens, and eventually, it explodes. Just like this did. And if you want honest, no-nonsense updates on stories like this as they unfold, make sure you subscribe now, because this situation is far from over, and there's no sign yet that either side is ready to back down.